So hi, it's Meg here again. I'm going to speak today with Tatiana Stepanova. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. It sounds like I'm getting it right, but not really enough. I'll let you say it properly. Tatiana helps people create presentations and presentation, webinar design, creating webinar funnels, that sort of thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I do, as I say, presentation design and visual storytelling. And this means that I help people with all the visual communication things related, as you said, to webinars, courses, marketing campaigns, so on and so forth, conferences as well.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly because with all this digital communication, we need to somehow put out there what's in our heads, and it's not just plain text, right?
No, there's images
So
of everything now, aren't there?
yeah, images, icons, infographics, this helps us to articulate what we really mean in a more precise manner than just by plain text. So we can represent our metaphors, associations, emotions better with visual stuff.
That makes
And
sense.
actually, I guess almost everyone today has to make some sort of visual stuff, and we're doing this almost every day. Like I see from my clients and by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so sometimes a good solution is to outsource this, and I help with this, like
Right.
taking this stuff away from my clients. But there are, of course, some tips that can make it more fun if you decide to do it by yourself.
Which is something I can certainly relate to because
Yeah, I
I'm
remember
trying
you
really
talk.
hard. I started out, I thought I would just, with my Facebook group, I'll have one image for each day when I have a special day. And I realized after week 2 that I'm going to have to keep coming up with newer images. And I
Yeah,
find it hard choosing the right image. It's you find one you think says, it's got to say what you want it to say. But for me, I kind of do an image search and I'm looking for ideas. And no, you've got to really choose what image you want because you have to name the thing that's in the image to find the image you're looking for. And so my brain doesn't work that way. So
yeah, it can become very frustrating. So what works for me when you're dealing with the design stuff all by yourself, and when you start from asking yourself like how to find the right image for my blog or my website or for a social page cover, these kind of questions for me are not particularly helpful.
Okay.
And they can even make you more frustrated if you start, like you said, with some vague Google search, like, I don't know, coaching practice catchy photos. And then you find yourself looking through tons of similar photos with no idea how to choose from them and how to go on later, right?
Or just finding interesting ones, because if you put something like coaching practice in, you just get endless stock photos of people in.
Yes, and they're all the same, all overused and not really representing what you want to say.
Yeah.
And so what helps me, setting boundaries is key.
Okay.
And there are obvious boundaries like the blog post title, right? But typically that's not enough, because when we switch from the verbal communication to visual communication, we like switch the alphabet, the vocabulary we use, like switching to another language. And suddenly the boundaries that we have, like the blog post title, which seemed tight enough, they suddenly become like blurred or completely disappear. And for me, a good starting point is to sit down just with pen and paper and create a short list of associations. Most often I do mind mapping out of the idea or title or concept I need an image for. And with this mind mapping, we then have like 3 options I'd say, to choose from.
Mm.
The first one is to end up with a list of actual material things you expect to see on the photo. For example, I want a photo with a maze or a piece of a puzzle because it's my association with being stuck. For example, it's precise boundary. And this will be the criteria for my search, and I will have something that will guide me through this endless list of photos, right?
Mm.
And an important thing here for me is not to stop myself on writing things that seem to me too obvious or too overused, because it will just damage the creative process. I mean, if I don't let myself to write down everything that comes on the top of my mind. And then when I continue going and writing down, I come up usually with some things that are not overused that I can search for.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I've mentioned 3 options, right? And I thought about the first one. The second one then will be to define the style you want, the form of the graphics. And here we need to be precise as well. So by defining a style, I don't mean just saying like cartoon animation or business photo, because it's too vague, right? We need something like outline, monochrome, vector illustration, for example. So which forms you will see you want to see on the image, and it's a good filter. That's it. And if you search something like this, you may also use, of course, the filter that will shorten the search to your particular topic, and you will see some outlines that will nicely fit in your style, for example.
Now, I'm going to jump in there just because I'm not 100% sure where everybody is. I know some people are very technically competent, and I know some people in this group are really new to some of this stuff. So my background a long time ago, I did a little bit of graphic design. So vector illustration is obviously a very clear outline. It's sort of cartoony. So that's one style you can have. If you put in vector, you'll get these scalable images, but they're always very clear lines and aren't they? But then, so an alternative style might be a photo or I don't know. What other things do you have?
Well, actually, we can use 3 types: photos, vector illustrations, which are not icons, and icons.
Okay.
Like this. And maybe not photos, but pictures that are not vector, right? And usually it's better not to go with Google search, but use your favorite graphic web resources, and there you can find less overused images. And also that there is one more huge time saver for me, and that's maintaining a list of favorite pictures, photos, icons. And technically it's done on these resources. Because when you're looking for something for some particular topic, you often stumble upon images that resonate with you, but has nothing to do with this current topic. And then you can just like it and save for later.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've seen something that I'll remember that, and then I spend the next 3 days scrolling through hundreds.
Yeah, because our memory is not very efficient, and here you just have the list, and I can even share my favorite one. So for photos, my favorite one is Pexels. I use Flat Icon and the Noun project for icons, and FreePic for all of this. And all of them may allow you to maintain this favorite library of your favorite ones. And then you can just start your search the next time from looking through these favorites. And the nice thing is that your brain is getting accustomed to link your current ideas with the visuals you've ever seen. and vice versa, and you remember that, oh, I've saved this and that image, and you will return to them later.
So basically it's the same, like you say, it's learning a new language. So the more you do this, the more you start looking for visuals and relating them to your search terms, the quicker the process is going to get. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely right. It will become easier and easier with time. And also the thing that makes it easier with time is to turn your consciousness on. And when doing this design stuff, always I'm asking myself why I like this image more than this, and why this slide by another person looks more professional than mine, or why mine looks more professional. And I start to notice these tiny pieces of work, like additional shades or gradients, or how the objects in the picture are composed. Is it minimalistic or opposite? And this allows me to make more precise searches in future, that okay, for this idea I need these because I understand now that this will work for me. And but of course you should not overcomplicate this task. Finding an image is not a simple task, right? And if you overcomplicate it, it might become harder. So just a little bit of this thinking.
So I mean, if somebody's picking an image for a Facebook post, how important is it that you get the right image, that you choose the right one? Because sometimes you're just in a hurry. You just, it's not worth spending half an hour of your time doing a mind map.
Of course, if you just need an image for Facebook, you can just make a little, maybe spend 3 or 5 minutes thinking before you search what you're expecting to see on the image. Like we discussed, like the form or style, or maybe association you need for it. And then just put it out there and maybe make a revision afterward. You have no time at the moment, but then you come back and see, oh, I like this really. I just put it out there and they like it. Or this I don't like, and think why. You can make it on the go.
I've got you. So you're just constantly refining and trying to get the process a little bit better.
Yes, step by step, like this, really tiny steps.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Okay. Do you think it makes a big difference if you choose the right image, or?
The great thing about visuals that it allows us to convey a message in a more concise form. If I recall it right, it's about, we can, by a couple of seconds looking at image, we can get about 9,000 symbol message out there. And if we compare it with the text of such length, it's much more. So you can say more and in more precise manner with adding a right image. But of course, if you choose not the best image, it's perfectly okay. It won't ruin anything.
Okay, so you can actually just enhance your work. If you get the right images, you're going to make it better.
Of course, yeah.
So is this what you meant by visual storytelling? Because you mentioned that earlier on, and I like the sound of that. Love to know what you mean by that.
Yeah, it's I can say that's it. But the term visual storytelling is a bit more. We can extend it to some more things. Okay. If we do not one image or a series of images, like presentation, the image for a presentation is often thought of something additional and not very important. Like we have a content and a form, and the content, the script we have, is important, and the form is like something not very important, additional thing.
Okay.
But actually, everything is the content, and there is no need to put anything that doesn't articulate your message. And if you put your text in a visual form, like make infographic slide, it will be more digestible for your audience. So it will be easier for you to communicate to them, to focus their attention on the right things. So it will be just easier.
Okay. So I know that makes so much sense, because obviously it's so easy just to say, okay, this is the content. Oh, I'll grab a few images and put them in, and that's me. But if you've got the potential with adding an image to make the content even more.
You can somehow incorporate the phrases, your text into the image, and when you put all this together, it just becomes more powerful.
I can totally see that. Yeah. Like you say, nothing should be wasted space. It should all count. If you're going to do it really well.
Yeah, yes, it should look like the whole thing, not like this and this apart. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking at the minute, just as you're talking, what's going through my head is the webinars I've been on, where what they're saying is just shown on the screen. They just show one sentence on the screen. And they talk about that sentence for a little while, and then they move over to the next one and they show one sentence and they talk about that for a little while. And just
for them.
And a voice. And then I think of the ones
where webinars put in the text.
Carry on.
For webinars, it actually makes sense to put the phrase out there, because it anchors you for, okay, I see this, I hear this, I can continue listening. But of course, if we put some image or icon or enhanced typography we use, it will strengthen our position, of course. And for webinars, it's actually, for one webinar, you typically have about 80 slides, and it is pretty hard to work, to make comprehensive work on each slide. So if you make them typography based and add a few icons and maybe some personal stuff, like some adjusted personal photos, they will build rapport with your listeners. This will just make it a bit high value for them.
Because carry on.
Yeah.
I always do that to people. I'm so sorry. No, you carry on. Is this returning from you?
No, I'm listening to you. Did you meant to ask something?
No, I was just thinking of just the different ways people get information. Like you say, if you're listening and looking, it's great. But the visuals can often be I'm thinking of the ones I've seen, again, with webinars, where you fix it. It fixes it in your mind. A graphic will fix the information in your mind more than just the words a lot of the time, won't
it? I guess my connection is not very stable. And I've heard just parts. Can you please repeat this last?
Can you hear me okay now?
Not really. Maybe we can reconnect.
Yeah, but okay. No problem at all. What we could do, that was a really brief introduction to you, Tatiana. And I loved what you've got to say, because it's so important to have the right visuals. It's so valuable. And it's really nice to know that somebody like you is out there, can give people ideas. So would you perhaps, your 3 tips and the different platforms you suggested, if you could put them in the comments when I share this, about how people can find these platforms, and that would be really great for people. And can you hear me well enough to?
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay, cool. Do you want to tell people where they can find you if they want to know more?
I'm on LinkedIn, and my website is mentioned there, and that's basically it. I'm on Facebook as well, but it's my local page, so everything is in Russian and it's not particularly useful. So I would love to connect on LinkedIn.
Okay, fabulous. Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add for people before we round this up?
Maybe if I will recall something else, I will just add in comments as well.
That sounds perfect. Thank you for your time. That's really fantastic. There's lots of useful stuff in there, Tatiana.
Thanks for having me.
It's great.
Thank you.